Hey you, I'm your nutrition coach. My name is Jackie Poole. Welcome to Happiness is a Healthier Habit. Let's get today's episode started. Good morning. I like to start today with saying that I feel really blessed and really honored to being able to talk to you. And if you're listening, I'm so happy that you're here. I'm feeling so grateful, and I always think if you're not being a blessing, then what are you doing? And I'm so glad to have the opportunity to have this podcast, and I'm just feeling some type of way this morning. I'm working today. It's Monday. I'm recording a couple episodes ahead, so I stay ahead of the game. It's summer, so we have a lot of plans. We just got back from Florida, and trying to get in the groove of things. I have my boys in the living room set up with my dad, and they're doing like workbooks and homework stuff. So mom life, it is never perfect, but that is the beauty of it. And so in this episode, I really wanted to cover something that I think I just learned. I've never heard that before, and I thought it was something to shed a light in, because I know so many mamas that are getting pregnant out there, and it is something that definitely concerns me. I've had 3 boys myself, and so today we're really going to talk about what visceral fat actually is, how it impacts our health far beyond just the way we look, the surprising connection between visceral fat and diastasis recti, hormone imbalances caused by visceral fat like insulin resistance, and how to reduce it naturally, and including my go-to support like Lean Peptides, and obviously they come from Make Wellness. So today we're diving into something that really impacts us women, and so many people out there, and I think it really deserves the attention today, which is visceral fat. This is just this isn't just the fat that we can like pinch, right? This is the fat that I think it's called, the more dangerous fat, right? It's the kind of fat that lives really deep into our abdominal cavity, and really, gets into our organs and can really wreak havoc on our health. And this little nugget, I'm definitely surprised by it. It can even contribute to diastasis recti. And this is when your abdominal area or abdominal muscles separate when you're pregnant, but it can also be caused because you have too much visceral fat. So let's dive in. Okay, so what is visceral fat? Unlike subcutaneous fat, which is just right under our skin, visceral fat surrounds our vital organs, like your liver, pancreas, intestines, you name it. If it's visceral fat, it can really line itself around our organs. And something that it's not talked about is not just fat, right? This is actually metabolically active. So when that fat is around our organs, it's releasing inflammatory markers and our hormones that affect the whole body. And so we can't always see it. This is something that even like lean people or people that appear to be lean can have high levels. So you can, it's called like that skinny fat, right? You can be skinny and look skinny, but your fat percentage can definitely be up there, and it can be more the dangerous kind of fat, so like the visceral fat instead of the subcutaneous fat. So the way visceral fat affects our body, it more has to do with hormone disruption, right? So if you are somebody that's stuck, can't seem to lose 5 pounds, have lost weight, but don't really like your body composition, or just metabolically active, you're like trying to lose the weight and you're doing all of the things and you're not seeing any results, this could definitely be affecting your body. So earlier, number 1 would be affecting your insulin resistance. So visceral fat definitely interferes with our insulin's ability to regulate our blood sugar, which can definitely increase our risk of type 2 diabetes, which even skinny people, sometimes people who get type 2 diabetes, or they're runners, or they work out so much, they could end up with insulin resistance, and it's because their body's probably losing muscle and holding on to that visceral fat. And so that is number 1. Something else that can be affected by visceral fat is cortisol and stress. So this fat can definitely elevate cortisol levels, creating a vicious cycle of fat storage and stress response. So the way that this could be talked about is cortisol, it's supposed to be peaking in the morning and lowering at night. So it's kind of like your circadian rhythm, right? You wake up when the sun goes up and you go to sleep when it's dark outside. So your cortisol is supposed to kind of go with that rhythm. And so people who tend to be very stressed, have a hard time sleeping, that cycle could be inverted, right? When you wake up and you feel like you're not rested, or you're at night, you're wired and you can't seem to fall asleep. It could be that your cortisol levels are inverted and they're kind of flip-flopped, and this could be messing with your cortisol levels, right? Because they're elevated when they're not supposed to be elevated, and they're kind of shot when they're not supposed to be where they're supposed to be. So that's what I mean, we're elevated, right? Because we're supposed to have high elevating cortisol, but that is supposed to be in the morning. That's kind of the thing that wakes us up, that's the thing that kind of increases a little bit of our body temperature as we're waking up, because we're ready to start our day. So those are the little things that are signals to our body to wake up. And so cortisol definitely is affected by visceral fat in this way, and the way our body stores body fat. And so visceral fat can also create more inflammation. This can be linked to cardiovascular diseases, fatty liver, and so we don't want that. We need to be able to reduce visceral fat this way, because it does cause a lot of inflammation and things that are unwanted on the body. And, as I talked about insulin and cortisol, those are hormones. It can also affect other hormones like estrogen, leptin, ghrelin, really messing up with our hunger cues, and our body's unable to rely on those specific hormones, right? Ghrelin I believe is the hunger hormone, right? You're supposed to feel hunger. Leptin is when you're supposed to feel satisfied, and when you're full. That's when I talk about intuitive eating, right? You just eat till you're satisfied, not till you're stuffed, and eat when you're hungry. And so all of these cues can definitely be disrupted when we have a lot of visceral fat in our body, because again, it's metabolically active. It is messing, just like muscle is metabolically active in our body, so is visceral fat. So it's very important that we reduce this type of fat because it does play a huge role in, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to build muscle, in our hormones. And so there's a lot of things that can really mess our goals up if our visceral fat is in the higher percentages. And so other things that can also involve, which again, this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this in this episode today, because it affects our pelvic, our core. Our core is something that needs to be worked on, and I think it's left to the side. I think I've left it to the side very many years ago, and recently I started doing this, and I've fallen off completely since we've moved. I haven't gone into that rhythm, but I would wake up early and I would just do stretches that would really focus on core. And so studies now link visceral fat to diastasis recti by adding kind of like that more internal pressure on your abdominal wall. And so there's like this line, right? That line, kind of like if you imagine like the six pack of that line of that divides left and right. It's called the linea alba. And this connective tissue is between your abdominal muscles, right? And so if you have a lot of visceral fat kind of like prior to getting pregnant, you're probably more likely to have this issue as the baby's growing, as your muscles are kind of weakening, right? Because they're making space for the baby, and as it's growing, your core is definitely not intact because it's catering to housing that baby. So the more it's stretching, the more you're likely to get that type of problem. And so that's something that I've never checked myself, but I know I've never had the six pack one because I have a lot of loose skin in my abdominal area. But I think in the past 9 months, I've done just very simple stretches and core workouts like dead bug, like bird dog, like, maybe some clams that kind of help side planking a little bit. Nothing too much. Just really basic that I do. Like I do 10 of each of exercise, every morning. I would used to do it, including with my peptides, and I've never had that six pack before. But doing that can really help strengthen your core and prevent this from happening, especially if you're pregnant or your body fat percentage is high. This is one way to reduce it, right? So this is something that shocked me because this can also be in men, not just women. And so that is something that definitely I was like, oh my God, I need to talk about this because I didn't know. And what you don't know, you don't know. And so I figured we would be discussing this specific factor of what visceral fat does. Okay, so I've been talking about how it affects our body, our hormones, why we need to reduce it, but I think it's important to talk about how to reduce it, right? Not just losing body fat, but ways that you can do to improve it. And so here's a few kind of ways to shift to very practical things that you can go and do right now that won't cost you an arm or a leg and really help you work on that core, which is essential for any exercise, whether you want a strong back, whether you want to squat heavy, whether you want to do pull-ups, whether you want to run for long distances. Like having a strong core really affects any exercise, and this is something that can really help you by reducing visceral fat. And so these are some natural ways that you can do it. I'm very proponent on walking, especially fasted, first thing in the morning. If you're able to, like, there are studies that show that for women, the best time to work out is the morning. Why? Because with our hormones, as they shift throughout the month, and I talked about cortisol, it kind of spikes first thing in the morning and lowers at night. Exercise and walking, it is a little bit of a stress in the body. And so whether you're walking or strength training or even doing like short bursts of HIIT, there's studies that show that, doing HIIT workouts 30 minutes a week, right? So 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Daily movement is imperative. If you can, first thing in the morning for women, but get it when you can, right? That's just being very secular about what you want to do. If you have the time for it. Right now it's summer. I'm sure there's a lot more opportunities for you to make it happen in the morning, since we're not in a rush to take them to school, get ready for the bus or, traffic or dropping them off at daycare. It is, I think, and I will always say it, like, it's definitely made an impact in how I do life, and doing it first thing in the morning is just the best. But that's just works for me, and that's what I preach, and that's what I've read. So daily movement, walking, strength training, 10,000 steps if possible, short burst of HIIT, 30 minutes a week for HIIT. I mean, that's all you need to do. And this could be sprints. This can be running for 2 minutes, walking for 1 minute, running for 2 minutes, walking for 1 minute, right? That could be HIIT. It's just getting your heart rate up super high and then kind of resting. There's so many different ways of doing HIIT, and those are just a couple of examples that I can throw at you right now. Eating for metabolic health, right? A big proponent of protein. We want to eat fiber. We want to make sure we're doing anti-inflammatory fats, minimal sugar. What are inflammatory fats? We want to make sure we are staying away from, like, honestly, I don't like vegetable oil. I'm not a fan of it. Cooking with it, it's probably not the best. Canola oil is probably not the best. Even olive oil, to cook with olive oil is not my favorite. Olive oil is more for like dipping sauces, mixing it with salads and things like that. I think the best fats to cook in are avocado oil, because it's great for high heat. I personally, we've moved in with my father-in-law, and that man loves his bacon, and we literally have bacon grease for life. It is very natural, is animal fat. I like to cook that in the eggs, and it's so much better than going through buying a bottle of processed oil when you just get that from the bacon. And I find that it sticks less to the pans when I use baking or bacon grease fat instead of like the actual spray, and it gives the eggs a lot more flavor. So I usually do that for the boys in the morning. Those are my favorites. And of course, again, minimizing sugar. Coming back from Florida, we ate everything. My husband said he gained like 10 pounds in 1 week. I was surprised. I only gained like 3. So I was very happy with our results, because we were not being mindful. We were just in the moment, enjoying the food, enjoying desserts. We went to this restaurant called Fresco's, and they had a really amazing lime kind of like cheesecake pie. It was so good. Like cheesecake, it is my favorite, and anything with lime flavor, I am down. And so we are back on it. We meal prepped yesterday, more veggies, make sure we're eating our fruit. And of course, this comes with, going back to reducing visceral fat, is focusing on getting back into our sleeping routine, managing stress. Remember, cortisol does fuel fat storage. So if it's not in the rhythm, which seems to be kind of like a repeating factor here of visceral fat, if we're not managing our stress, it's going to affect cortisol, which is going to fuel our fat storage, right? So this can look many different ways. We can manage stress through walking, distracting ourselves by doing movement, reading, breathing, taking classes, trying new hobbies, talking to somebody, so many different ways in managing stress that can really improve the way we reduce visceral fat. And so these are things that I said that are free and you can definitely work on. Supplements that support fat metabolism. You guys know I'm very big into supplements. I love supplements. They help you get to where you want to be. And I think they are the reason, I talked earlier about doing my core workouts first thing in the morning, my stretches. I've developed this kind of like pack even underneath my loose skin that I've never seen, and I love to flex it because I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought I could see this because of how loose my skin is in my abdominal area. I've never worked my core after my 3 kids. I exercise, but core was kind of always in the second, in the back of my mind. It wasn't priority. It was just getting stronger, and I've learned so much, and core affects your body in so many ways, and even in getting stronger, right? And so supplements that can help support my core and reduce my visceral fat, this definitely made an impact, which was the Lean Peptides. They have CoQ10. They have a different formulation. They had made the original one, and then the second one, they also added, I believe, L-Carnitine, which this combo, it helps support craving. So again, if you're like somebody's like, oh, I have a lot of cravings, this would be a great time to take it. Just a combination is perfect. And I actually take half because I am somebody that wants to continue eating, and when I take both, it completely knocks out my appetite. So I don't want that, so I only take half, and it's helped me so much, of course, along with my Fit Peptides. But it's just one of the tools that I've been super excited about, because I've seen how I feel in my core, and I've never been able to see that. And so it's hard to explain because I've always worked out. I've always, exercised. I'm doing different modalities now, later in my, I'm 34 now. And so it's really great to see that I'm in better shape now than I was when I was in high school. And so that is something that I'm always proud to say, because that was never a priority. And I love the way I look now. And I can tell you that the Lean Peptides and the Fit have made a huge support. And so this specific peptide, it's not synthetic. It's not like, it's probably cheaper than GLP-1s. They're designed to work together if need be, but it really supports the body's own fat burning process, right? The key ingredients, like I said, L-Carnitine, CoQ10, they really support mitochondrial energy and fat metabolism. Again, it does kind of, help with curbing the appetite, curbing with craving. So it has this Apticurb Trimfast Complex that really targets the stress-related fat gain and aids in appetite control, and again supports you metabolically, and just is really flexible when it comes to putting it together. And of course, it has a lot of other things. It has citrus polyphenols, which again helps stimulate thermogenesis, when again it's telling your body to burn more calories, but not just calories, right? It helps you burn more fat, and this is where it comes in handy. It really focuses on the midsection of your body, right? On the trunk of your body, and is natural, it's non-stimulant. It has a little bit of caffeine. I think it's like 10 milligrams. That is nothing if you're somebody that drinks coffee every day. It's really gentle on the body. There's no crash. I love taking it first thing in the morning, when I go run, when I go work out. I just really love the results that I've gotten from these peptides, along with my own approach, right? I do supportive, very holistic. I try to stick to whole foods, and honestly, it's just helping your body design what it's supposed to do. And I think as we get older, our body does change and need a little bit of more support. I'm not where I would want to be at this moment, but I also know that I have different goals, right? I'm trying to get pregnant. I've increased my body fat percentage because I was in 22%. As of now, coming back from the trip, I did before and after. I think I'm gonna do like a week change, just so you guys can see, like, I had a great time. I'm getting back on it. No strict diet, just getting back to my routines, to working out, to waking up early, to taking my supplements, and it's really going to help my body again design what it was supposed to do. Okay, so I've talked enough about body fat and what it does to our body. So if you're on a journey to feel stronger, to reduce this stubborn belly fat, to rebalance your hormones, if you're really somebody that's trying to tackle your abdominal area and trying to get rid of visceral fat, this is like a non-negotiable for you, and you don't have to do it or don't want to do it with harsh methods, all the cardio, all the drugs, synthetic medications. I really want to encourage you to try the Lean Peptides. Like I said, I love these things. I know that I wouldn't be flexing my core the way I do without them, because I've tried it without them. And it's something about their specific formulation that has helped me get to that specific place, based on how my body's been, what I've done before. I've been more conscious about other things as well. I've picked up running, but honestly, I think this has been one of the main factors. And I always say, right, supplements are only 10% of what you're doing, but it's taken that 10%, it's gotten me where I want to be. And so I just needed that little push to start seeing results. And again, they are one of my favorite tools right now. And if you're curious about trying them, the link is on the show notes. I have Make Wellness. I have a dispensary for hormone health. Or if you're just trying to figure it out, talk to somebody like, hey, I'm trying to work on my core abdominal section. I want to lose weight. I am picking up clients as of now. I am training. I am nutrition coaching. I do like to remind you, if you do nutrition coaching and you're in the area, that personal training is going to come free. It's going to come with the package. So I have nothing but good things to show you, and so I'm excited to add that to the Habitual Sunrise Map, which is a 90-day program, 12-week program. And if you're wanting to improve your health, lose the weight, lose the belly visceral fat, that stubborn fat, then we need a chat. The discovery link will be in the chat. It's free consult. You have nothing to lose, and I will talk to you then. Bye.